Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Cody here with Royalty Card Gaming. We've had a long hiatus, real life, other stuff coming up. Not as much time to do any content, but we're back. I just wanted to do a synopsis video from Road to Nationals to where we're at now with the Dusk Till Dawn release. So going into the Road to Nationals, my Deck Techs video was put out. Was feeling really good that day. Um, the one thing was we ended up going 2-3, right? Our matchups that day were, let's see here. We had Lexi, we had a Katsu. Let's see. We faced Bravo, Missouri, and Oldham. Where's Oldham at? Alright, and we ended up going 2-3. Our two wins were against Lexi and Katsu. Um, Katsu, it's not always an auto win, but you have great play lines into it. Sorry, Mike just died. The one thing being, like, if he gets the tempo early, and you just don't get the traps in hand to stop the momentum, or you just draw dead hands constantly, you won't be able to close out the game, and more likely than not, it goes bad for you. But in this one, we got the card draws, things panned out our way, and it was actually quite grindy because the Katsu realized he had to start blocking out, but we ended up pulling this one out. This was game 4. Game 1, we ended up playing against Lexi. It was a win. Really, it was a slugfest up until on a 3 of a kind turn, I happened to have Buzzsaw Trap in hand, and they loaded in a Bolt and Shot, and had already used their snaps previously. So if you're not familiar with that synergy, they play Bolt and Shot, giving it +1 go again. They've already done the 3 of a kind, so they have all these cards in their hand. They load with Voltaire, they fire it, you Buzzsaw Trap it, it stops the go again, no on-hit reload, turns over. So that ended up changing the momentum for us, and off of a 3-card hand afterwards, we were able to basically just go wide every turn and have them block until they were down to um, 1 to 2 life. I don't really remember. It's been a minute since then, but from then we were able to use Virulent Touch wherever he's at in here. Violent Touch, buffing it, with Nimblism, Premeditate, and then on turns where I didn't have it, drawing into Codex of Frailty to get it back, to keep pestering them with it, requiring their hand, and then them having to pay Blood Rot. They just never get the tempo back, and eventually got to the point of where we buffed it, and they weren't able to recover, and they died to the Blood Rot. So that's how that game went. So out of all these losses right here, the Azuri was a redline Azuri, and this one in specific, the card draw didn't go our way, and really the Azuri utilized Codex of Frailty better than myself to capitalize on her 0-cost on-hit effects, attack action cards. And we just ended up losing that way. So this was really an unlucky game. This is our one, where it's man, just things didn't line up our way. Redline Azuri is pretty good, but we have tons of play lines into it. It just didn't end up falling our way. Bravo, this ended up being a fatigue Bravo. I went about 4 or 5 turns, swinging on average 13 to 15 damage every turn, which resulted in him just blocking out, blocking out, blocking out until we finally started slowing down. We didn't have as much go again, as much pumps. We had expended a lot of our go agains. We ended up getting him down to 8 life despite that, before we ran out of cards and we just got hammered to death. The one thing here that we could have done was add in 3 Remembrance in the side deck, which I took out the Down and Dirties for. Um, it makes the Dromai match nigh unplayable, but since it's already a bad matchup, we just have to basically give up the bad matchup. Um, and hope for severe luck in that case that the 10% comes through, because fatigue turned out to be a real problem at this road to national. So I think any Riptide running 3 Remembrance along with the Quiver of Abyssal Depths is a must, in a fatigue play style, which we encountered twice that day, because Oldham, and you don't really have to explain that. Um, Titan's Fist, Shield, Crown of Seeds. We just get fatigued to death. Thank God this guy LL'd. But again, we got him down to 6 life, and he had about 6 cards in deck. And if we had ran Remembrance, along with our Quiver of New Horizons Depths, we would have had 3, 6, 9, 12 more additional cards compared to his 6, and we can probably close out the game here. So if we had ran Remembrance on this day, we we potentially can't say you can't account for everything, but we have a good chance of going 4-1, based on what fell. Um, so yeah, point being, um, until more support comes out with Riptide for more maybe colorful things with like um, maybe Spec Arrow with Dominate or Overpower in the card text. These 2 matchups are unplayable. Um, ran Dreadborn this one, and still got fatigued. Um, this one ran Death Dealer, got fatigued, but in either or, if we run Remembrance, we go 4-1. So that's like my learning step as a new player. I've only been playing the game for about 6 months, and that was my first road to nationals. With the competition gets a little bit more stiff than your local armory meetups. So in in uh, in my Riptide list moving forward, we have to run 3 Remembrance. Um, I also added in a Plague Hive. I took out one of the captain's calls for that, just for kind of thematic purposes. Like, it's a pitch card, can pay into your quiver, give them, something at random, another status ailment. Found it to be more useful than another one of these captain's calls, so we added that in. Um, Now on to we got the ban list for today for yesterday. We'll no longer be able to run Bullseye's bracers in CC, um, which is another reason why I'm really coming online to post this. This really kills Riptide in the current meta. Yes, this was a tool that put Lexi way over the top, but Riptide really needed this, specifically in the Dromai matchup, to where this was a tool to take a turn off to clear dragons if need be. Really one of the only tools we have, if the board state is getting out of control. Um, so before Dusk Till Dawn, before Bullseyes, we can go through and kind of do a tier list. So we can go. We'll start off with Lexi. This was definitely B tier. It was kind of like what you drew into, what they drew into if you drew the right traps at the right time, and kind of a race to the finish. Uzuri, um, even Redline, like Fatigue more so. You're running B tier. This is it's a very skill expressive matchup, and if you play traps and they have shreds in hand, this matchup just kind of goes sideways for you. Katsu, I would keep an S tier with just Outsiders meta. Um, as long as you're layering your traps correctly and not letting him use his Katsu ability effectively, this is always an S tier. You hit him with Remorseless, it's bad. Um, you really just can race him down and have more than enough ways to deal with his chains to where um, this is like an S tier matchup for Riptide. Oldhim, we put him down here in the C tier if you run Remembrance. Um, if not, this is a D tier matchup. Bravo, he's B tier if he's running Anothos, and you guys are just smacking the crap out of each other every turn. It's really a coin flip of who gets there in the end. But if he's running Fatigue even with Anothos and you didn't run Remembrance, this goes down to C tier. Dorinthia, this is S tier. You have more than enough ways to deal with her attack reactions, her go-agains. Um, Tar Pit Trap nullifies the on-hit, which just turns the turn off entirely. Collapsing Trap, discard your hand. Even if they do an overpower to where they do a +6, you have like things like Buzzsaw, more D-Reacts. If they do a route, more likely than not, you just use D-React. So if they route it, you just play it again, and they deal more damage. Um, so they have really no way of outracing you, and this is kind of, unless you just play it badly, should be a win. Um, Rhinar, any Rhinar I've gone up against on Talishar, like more often than not, I'm winning. I think that in total it was like 10-3. If they intimidate you, etc. This is like if they win, they high roll the crap out of you. Anything other than like an extreme high roll, you win these. Levia before Dusk Till Dawn, this was I would say A tier, because at worst, like you just block out and hope the blood debt kills him, because it eventually would. Speaking as a player who loves Man Sans content, and this is the hero that got me into the game. Block out, wait for the blood debt to kill was more along the lines of how opponents would play into you. Maybe not so much now that Dusk Till Dawn has spoilers have dropped, but we'll get to that in a minute. How they change. Azalea, this is B tier. Um, you're really going off of how many times have they hit you with Red in the Ledger. With Memorial Grounds, they have a great package to keep occurring that you can't go wide, and they can pump their Red in the Ledger to obscene numbers, dominated, like more often than not, more turns than not. You're really hoping that they get a whiff, and then you can have a go wide turn, or if they dominate, you have the traps in hand to you know, D-react, get a trap in an arsenal, D-react again, or have trap in arsenal, D-react from hand, trap in arsenal to negate most of that damage, and then come back with a 2-card hand. Bolton, before Dusk Till Dawn, this was a S tier matchup. Um, you 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 save your D reacts for his big Lumina turn, or even like if he's running Raiden, where his big damage goes through. You have more often than not ways of getting around this. So this was an S tier matchup. Briar, um, B tier. Um, just one of those ones where you guys are just smacking the crap out of each other, and it's it just goes down to who's got what. Did he draw Force of Nature, or did they draw Force of Nature into Channel Mount Heroic? Um, yeah, it's 50-50. There's going to be a lot of these matchups and how they roll. Dash, A tier, because he doesn't have a lot of on hits, or S tier, depending on the Dash player. I'll leave it in A tier. He's one of those go again champs that we just have a better time going into, because there's really no status effects, and you eat his damage or trap the damage, D-react his damage away, your turn, deal damage. Yeah, that's really all you can say about that one. These two heroes, no, no. Kano and CC. This is C tier depending on the Kano player. I'm more apt to put it into B tier. Um, because it really comes, it's a 50-50 because you start at 38, they start at 30. You just start swinging at them consistently. This is probably the one matchup where you want to go first. Just swing damage. Um, See if they block out. They go turn two. More likely than not, they're not gonna swing. They want to do stuff on your turn. So usually you're putting like one arrow out there, draw a card, fire the arrow at them. If you can tell they're blocking out, they don't have the hand, that's when you can, pump an arrow, do more often than not. And then really once they get down to the 6 or 7 health range, they're going to start going for broke storm striders, metacarpus nodes, canoing, using all the pots that they've put out into the field for resource. And you're just going to see if they have it or not, because you'll swing for lethal, and then that's when they're going to do it. And if they don't have it, you win. And it's usually a 50-50. My Talishar gameplay has been very divided down the middle, 50-50. Either they have it or they don't. Um, Mainly because we can't run more than AB3, and now with Bullseyes being gone, it's at best. Viscerai, another 50-50. Specifically in this one, um, did you go second? First check mark. If you did, um, or if you went first or second, are you drawing into Remorseless? Because more often than not, you're gonna want that in a Codex of Frailty to Remorseless. Either Captain's Call or Snaps it, Remorseless again. Especially if they don't block, you're gonna want to do that because that means they have the really go wide, lots of rune chant, aggressive package in play. And the only way you're going to keep up with their damage output is if you have that double remorseless proc. Um, so it's really 50-50. Either you got it or you don't. Um, Dromai Redline was C before. If it's Big Dragon, put it down into D tier. Enough said. Rangers don't do well into Dromai unless like you're Lexi. Phi. Um, Before I was going to put it into A tier, but this is another one of those 50-50 matchups. You have to have the right cards and drawn to the right things and hope things fall your way, which is a majority of Riptide's matchups. Like he can play into them, but he's really like borderline. And most of his matchups like will border on B tier. Um, Same with Arachne B tier, the fatigue package. Runs pretty much the same as Azuri. He just doesn't have an Azuri swap. Icelander, D tier. Um, we as Riptide don't have a lot of ways to deal with Frostbite, and especially if the Frostbite starts dealing damage to you, like it's just a mess, and it's a matchup I've not found out a successful strategy into. The mirror, you run Dreadbore. If you ran Dreadbore, it's S tier. Um, Enough said. Like if you both ran Dreadbore, um, then this is really B tier. But more often than not, um, opponents I've seen haven't ran Dreadbore as Riptide. They get greedy, so S tier. But if they do run it, you're down here in the B tier. This leaves us with Dusk Till Dawn meta. So we'll go through and we'll see what heroes change to after Dusk Till Dawn meta, starting with specifically the Dusk Till Dawn heroes. If you're not a Dusk Till Dawn hero, this really doesn't change all that much. Um, First, we'll start with Bolton, one of the heroes I was excited about. See if he got any real support. He got support. I won't say that he got the answer he needed, but as far as mid-range Raiden Bolton goes, he got a lot of good support. I think this matchup goes from S tier for Riptide because of the pure damage output that he can do now and the go again, etc. To B tier. Um, just too much damage output. Really, the matchup goes to did you have a Buzzsaw trap for Raiden when the Lumina turn hits. Because if you don't, this is going to strip your whole hand, and then we don't have armor like others do to block out the rest of it. And then things like Celestial Cataclysm, etc., is really going to be what ends up killing us in this matchup. So it's really B tier. Um, Levia, put this sucker C tier now, possibly D tier. There's way too many great ways to play with Levia now that you can't count on Blood Deck killing her, so you have to kill her. And now she has a great fatigue package, in my opinion. And even if you are running the heavy recursion, you're just out damaging Riptide constantly. There's not a trap that says, hey, stop your turn immediately. Don't go past go, don't collect $200. Um, uh, the the matchup specific, this is a D tier matchup, I think at best. We'll revisit once I've actually played through this, etc. Prism D tier. We already have a bad matchup into Dromai. Um, with the amount of auras, etc. Not even Phantasm, just Heralds that she's spawning out in the field. Prism is a D tier matchup for Riptide, and the meta is not looking very friendly towards him. It already kind of wasn't, but with the right pilot, you can play around it. Dusk till Dawn meta for Riptide is virtually unplayable, especially with the loss of Bullseyes. Vincent, I think at this point, this is a better version of Viserai. I think this is a C tier matchup for Riptide. She just has so many ways to recur cheap Rune Gate cards that are smacking for 7, potentially go again, with Rune Chant on top of that. I think the sky's the ceiling for this champ, and only time will tell how good, but this is a really bad matchup for Riptide. Um, and then with the other heroes that got some chip support in here, Viserai goes to C tier. He got Bloodchief Skeleton back as a specialization card. I don't remember what the specialization was called, but you basically get Bloodchief Skeleton in a specialization card. This makes this matchup a lot harder to play as. Dromai, put it to D tier because of the generic illusionist support and the loss of Bullseye's Brazers. This is this is how the meta looks here. And with that being said, that begs the question: well, do you play Riptide in the Dusk till Dawn meta CC without Bullseye's Bracers and with the addition and the buffing of certain heroes? The answer is no. You don't. Um, if this tier list is any indicator of where that champ's at now, you have 3, 4 potentially heroes that you have really good matchups into. Um, you're not depending on Dust Till Dawn meta, like the support and stuff like that. Like this could be a reason why you play it. There might be a lot more doors that pop up. You're gonna see a lot of Katsus, but other than these two, you're not gonna see many Rhinos. You're not gonna see many dashes. Um, and then other than these four, the rest of the champ pool, you're you're 50-50 coin flipping, or you're more likely than not losing. Um, so I will I have a collaboration with a fellow Riptide player coming up with what we think he needs support wise in the in the current meta, what he needs to be a better champ that can more likely than not coin flip his matchups. That'll be released in future content. But I myself, at least in CC, I'm still on the fence in Blitz with the skirmish season coming up. I more likely than not am gonna go back to my roots and go to to a Levia list. Um, I think the champ is at a minimum A tier now, and especially the fact that you don't have to run scabs, skins, gambler's gloves anymore is huge. I'll be coming out with a deck tech video for this later, but let me know what you think. You think I'm wrong? Dislike the video? Like I just as a Riptide enthusiast player, I don't get the good feels from the Dusk Till Dawn meta continuing playing this champion. He's just not in a good spot, and LSS further crippled that by taking away Bullseye's bracers instead of hitting on Lexi herself for those nerfs. So he's just really in a bad spot. We don't have a really good way to replace that arm piece. We have Toxic Tips and Hornet Sting, which both are subpar at best. So if you think I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below. Um, I'll be coming out shortly with my Levia CC list. Not really a reaction to the spoilers she got. If you want that, you can go over and watch Mansant's channel. Um, he showcased our Riptide deck here, so shout outs to him. Thank you for doing that, and thank you for the shout out. It's really appreciated. Um, so that being said, I hope you're having a great 4th of July. Had a great 4th of July, depending on when you watch this. And can't wait to see what y'all think about the thoughts moving forward and my swap to Levia. So thank you, and have a great day, and good luck at the skirmish season coming up.